everyone, it's Kelly with kellyscards.ca and welcome to this fifth card in my 2017 Christmas card kit. So for this card, I love doing this. A lot of my other kits have cards very similar to this where I pick out different strips, and it just really brings a lot of colors into the card as well as textures. I've got this really nice kind of shimmery silvery snowflake paper here, and I've got some of these notes and polka dots and then some of this color as well, and it really works nicely with this image I've picked out. And I've also got some silver ribbon to kind of play with this paper as well. So to get started, there's a lot of layering on this card, and I'm just going to remove this white card base because that will be the last thing that we do. And we'll start out with our strips. So I kind of played around with how I wanted them to go. You can mix the strips up, of course, if you like. So the first part is we're going to put the strips down, and we're going to do it right onto this craft paper. And I'm just going to start with the first one. It's really important you get the first one nice and straight, and then all the others should go pretty easily. So for this first strip, I am going to line it up here, and it's really important you get this first one lined up nice and straight, because if it's at all crooked, then all your other strips, if you use it as a guide, will also be crooked. And once I've got that on there, I'm just going to place my other strips now right beside them and make sure that everything comes out exactly the way I want to. Really like that. That's going to look good. I'm just going to push this on here so this adheres well. And now I will get to this really pretty snowflake paper. I have no idea what paper this is. I think I've had it for a while, but I had enough of it to add this little bit of sparkle onto this card, and I really, really like how that will add. The next one here is going to be this polka dot, and feel free to move them around. If you don't like the way I'm placing them, you can place them in a different order. Get that one on there as well. And then this other blue one, bluey kind of green. It's almost like a dark evergreeny type color. And then our music note paper. And we'll make sure our music notes are right up, and look at that, turned out perfect. I'm really happy how that turned out. Everything is nice and straight, and that is on there. So that's going to look really good backed onto this white cardstock. And before we do that, my plan with the ribbon was to have them either one at the top, one at the bottom, or both at the bottom, and then have our image there. So I'd like to play around with how that looks. I think I'm going to just piece up this image onto these little mats, and again really like pulling this darker color out of the image by having this as a middle mat. This really helps pull the colors out of your images. And we'll get that one up onto the scalloped mat, and really like how that looks. And of course I probably will put this up on pop dots just to raise it up, but let's just see how this looks here. We'll bring the card base in, and we'll put the silver here. Let's see. Now I've already picked out my sentiment and I've backed it. I'm not quite sure where it's going to go. Let's see if we move this down here how that will look. I think I like the two ribbons on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the first one close to the bottom, and I'm just going to flip my little bit of ribbon over there. And I just got a little bit of that tape, so I'm just going to cut that little edge off so we don't have the tape sticking out. And now I'm just going to pull this. I've showed this before, but if you pull it nice and tight and kind of bend your card a little bit up like this, that will help get this nice and flat and perfect. You won't have any bulkiness. And then I'm just going to cut off the edge here of this ribbon because we don't need to have all that extra. And now for the next one, I'm going to bring it down very close to where the other one is. And I will get the tape on to that one as well. And again, I will pull it across so that it is nice and even. I think that looks good. We'll flip that over. Really like how to use this thinner ribbon. A lot of the thicker ribbon is really nice, but you can use the thinner ribbon like this, and I think that this really looks good. So now that the ribbon is on there, we can adhere this whole piece to our card base, and then we can move things around to see how we like it. So I'm going to get the Be Creative tape going over top of the ribbon. This also will ensure that it's not going to go anywhere. And I'll pull that backing off and get my tape runner just along there. And really with the Be Creative tape on the two edges, this is not going to come off. Be Creative tape is just very good adhesive, so that's why I only use 2 strips on 2 sides opposed to doing the whole piece. So now I'll just bring in my bone folder. I'll just be really careful around this glimmery paper and the ribbons. But look how that's starting to look. I really like that. That is really nice. So now we have our image and our sentiment. I've been playing around with the way I want it to go, and I'm going to do something that I usually don't do. I don't usually put my sentiment up here, but I really like it up here. I think it's because of the 2 ribbons on the bottom is making the bottom of the card a little bit more busier. And that's usually where I have my sentiment. So I figure what I'm going to do is, if I can lift this up here, I'm just going to tuck this sentiment underneath the image here. And I'll just push it a little bit more like that, and I'll just see if I like it. It's just not straight quite yet, and I'll just straighten it up. And I think that's on there straight. And now for my image, I'm going to bring in the pop dots again, because I really like how the pop dots set the image apart from the rest of the card. And I've got some of these smaller pop dots that I will just put around the outside. Maybe we'll put one more on for good measure. And now we will add this, and again I'm just going to have this go over this corner of the sentiment. Just make sure that my image here, this line here on this bridge, is nice and straight with this ribbon, and I think that looks good. Really like that. Now look how that comes right off the card. You can see the dimension there, and of course we've got the nice glitter here from this ribbon, so really think this is quite a pretty card. Now for the inside, usually we put this in to the inside of the card as a place to write if you're using dark cardstock, but in this case, why I'm putting this in is for 2 reasons. One, I think it finishes off the card really nice, and it kind of looks more professional having this on the inside. But 2, also for the weight, and I've talked about this in my other videos, where if you put quite a few layers on the front of the card, it's a lot heavier than the back side of the card, so this just helps even up the weight when it stands up. So now that is all done, and that will finish off this 5th card in this card kit series. I really love these colors and really adore this image. I think this is a great way you can take scraps and make just beautiful cards. And again, don't forget all the thinner ribbon. I know we like to use some of the thicker stuff, but this thin stuff, by putting it down like this, adds a really nice touch to this card. So I hope you enjoyed this 5th card. There's 1 card left in this series. The playlist is linked below, as well as a place you can purchase this kit. You can check me out on my website at kellyscards.ca. You can subscribe for more videos, and thank you so much for watching.